Okay, so we now have a timer of 40 minutes before Zoom shuts us off. So I wanted to just gather some of the ministers and the senators together to discuss the proposal that I've come up with. Many people have already reached out to me privately to let me know their thoughts and their concerns. Um, the biggest concern seems to be twofold. Number one, where's my job going to go? And number two, what could I have done better? The minister themselves asking, what could I have done better to help Westarctica? So, you know, the brighter proposals, brighter tomorrow's proposal was never about singling anyone out because we all failed in 2024. But it's an opportunity for us to move forward. So the biggest problem that people have with my proposal is the idea of adding in political parties. They really don't like that idea. And I understand the concerns behind that. So I'm okay with letting go the idea of having political parties. Sasha, you're in the Senate and have been in the Senate. What do you think of the idea of having political parties? And I know your English is not great, but it's okay. You can type if you want to.
I have about politics. It's interesting in other countries. I'm sorry, is stopped my my Zoom.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, uh, Political party is biggest biggest interesting about other countries, and our countries is a good thing for the people. People big activities in one party, two party, and uh, this activities about country and interesting people about for me
Okay, so
for yeah, yeah.
right. And I felt the same way. It would create that sense of community that people are together on a particular political topic. So in your opinion, do you think it's positive for West Arctica or negative for West Arctica?
Um, I don't know. It's a,
Okay.
it's a um, um, interesting question. Is it complex issue? Is a difficult question for me, for other people. Uh,
Right.
uh, uh, People is not second. People don't trust politicians, but is Westarctica politics another big. It's it's other rules, other people, other political leaders, and
Mhm.
we have Ganduk is other leaders, and it's about uh, about uh, other politics.
Right, right.
Uh,
So okay, I think I understand what you're saying. We really don't have a need for political parties because most of the political power in West Arctica sort of rests in me. Is that kind of what you're saying?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Um, August, so Your Grace, you have been with West Arctica for a pretty long time now. You've got some perspective on how the council has been running and how it has run in the past. I really would like to hear your opinion on my proposal in general.
Generally, I thought it was a good move, just streamlining things mostly, just getting everything condensed. Personally, and I don't remember if I've actually spoken to Christina about this. I've always kind of felt that culture and sports should be tied more closely than being two separate ministries,
Yeah,
which is why I tried to keep a sports column in Westarctica Quarterly when I was able to do that. I
right.
want to keep doing it. Just when there was no news, it was kind of hard. I feel like it's a net positive proposal. I think it makes a lot of sense. I feel like we were, I don't want to say growing too fast, but there's always going to be growing pains. And there was such a boom during COVID that it makes sense that we kind of have to have a little bit of a rest after puberty. We were all going so hard for two, 3.5 years.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
I was burnt out and I didn't even realize it. So I think that that's going to be the breath of fresh air that we need, that stop in the progress for progress's sake. So I really do think it's a good idea.
great. Yeah, we added, people don't realize this. We added in like 2 years almost 15 people to the government because the 12 senators plus the four court justices and then a couple of extra royal council members. So we added a large number of people. It was a humongous growth step for us. And yeah, just what's everybody going to do, because we're such a small organization. um, and so Christina, I I'm glad that August mentioned the sports ministry because we have sports in Westarctica. I think it's an important ministry, but I would like to move it as a like a sub ministry underneath culture. So your position would change to deputy minister of sports or deputy minister of culture for sports. So would something like that be okay for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Thank you, August, for bringing that up. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that culture and sports were very closely tied together, and I know we do have some sports teams in West Arctica, but I think with the brighter tomorrow's proposal, I think it'll be a lot more defined, and we can also offer a variety of not just physical teams, but also like maybe glance into the world of e-gaming. Just a thought.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a really great idea. And I've thought of that in the past. I think it's a good and easy way for West Arctica to sort of show the flag with sporting teams. So, yeah, like an initiative like that, Christina, is exactly the kind of thing that I would expect the Minister of Sports to come up with because I can't necessarily think of that and then go ahead and put that plan into action. Um, so good, good. And one other thing, like anytime a minister needs um, bandwidth on the Westarctica website, all you got to do is ask. I've told people this many times, like to have a sports page where we can highlight the Westarctica ice krakens. That's something I've already thought about because they're really active. They practice a lot and they play like sort of scrimmage games quite a bit. But then last year, or this year, sorry, I was boxing. Is the leader of Westarctica engaging in sport as an athlete. So, and I wore like, Westarctica blue, but it didn't really matter. I didn't have the flag on me or anything, but still, the fact that I'm participating in sport should have given us another opportunity to make that a Westarctica activity. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities for you to do stuff. But when you need something, and this goes for everybody, when you need something from the central government, yeah, just ask for the resources, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Um, and so I have a question. I want to shift back to the Senate for a minute. And James, please feel free to voice your opinion on this too. Um, what does everyone think of creating that position of president of the Senate, elected by the senators, and that person being in charge of the whole legislature? The legislature is a siloed entity. It's really its own thing. It doesn't require approval from the Grand Duke, and I don't require approval from them. we can veto each other, but we don't have to rely on each other to pass laws. So it would be a 2-year elected position, the president of the Senate. Um, I guess my question is, do you think Westarctica has that need to have someone to create laws on our people's behalf? And would that president of the Senate be a functional role?
My gut instinct is saying yes, but not necessarily immediately, if that makes sense. I think that
Okay.
feels like more of like a 1 to 2 year initiative as we start to ramp back up again. I think I'm just saying that I feel like we need to kind of get our feet back under us before we start running. That feels more like a jog move to me than a getting back to walking.
Okay. So
And
maybe,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
The Senate did not quite understand the all context and the needs the Westarctica has in one moment. And many people, many ideas, I don't concretic ideas, concretic rules, concretic D, and don't many speak and don't concretic protocols and voids about concretic project of rules or a law.
So I understand completely. So you feel we maybe left the Senate too open. We didn't give them specific enough guidelines on what their mission is. Would you say that's true, Sasha?
Yeah. Senate is have many instruments for understand this about one more and don't work about 100 peoples and many activities.
Right.
I have one law. I have about rules work Senate. I have about war in Ukraine, and I said about this. Other senators have many ideas, but I don't is said in other meetings.
Right. And getting laws introduced into the Senate seems to be challenging. I've tried to get 2 laws passed in the Senate, and neither of them would even be spoken about on the floor. So I sense your pain. Okay, that helps me have a little bit of a perspective. James, have you thought about that at all? Did you get a chance?
First of all, that's really insulting. I just want you to, in case you didn't feel insulted enough, you should definitely feel insulted. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a professor. I think like a professor, and worse, I talk like a professor. And worse than that, my background is in public policy. I think there's a valuable lesson to learn, actually, of all places, from the English government here. The way the original English government worked, I mean, when they first started, you had the king and he would do things, and then all of a sudden we have a bunch of barons who said, oh, and we need to have a role here too. But the whole thing grew organically. There was no set of rules like we got here in the United States. And I think it would be valuable to instead basically say, and this is to address specifically the president question, is allow the Senate a very simple thing to say they set their own rules of procedure. And then when they think they need a president, they create one themselves. It doesn't need to be handled as a constitutional matter. And I think little things like that, by just letting some authority devolve, not a lot, but if you're already devolving the authority to do things, it would be wise, I think, to devolve the authority to choose the way they do them, which I think is an important thing. And then I see, because I've been around many nonprofits, and that's what this model is most closely resembling. It's hard sometimes to get volunteers who are able and have the time and consistency to do things unless they're truly dedicated. So creating, I think, more positions with more responsibility is not necessarily the best approach, but by allowing for something like sliding windows of opportunity for people to say, look, I can handle this stuff for the next 6 weeks,
Yeah.
maybe. But I don't know, I've never been clear on what the Senate's supposed to be doing.
So James, you bring up a really, really good point. Sliding windows of opportunity. I had that idea in my head, didn't know that's what it's called. So
I didn't, I
like
made that up.
okay, hey, I love it. So for example, August, you served as Minister of Citizenship and Immigration for a while. You know how hard that job is. I did it for years. Um, it requires processing these citizenship applications, and it's just boring. It's not hard. It's just really boring work and somewhat thankless. But to do that for 6 months, I think is reasonable. To do it for like I got appointed Minister of Citizenship and this is never going to end, that's a different way to look at your job. So yeah, sliding windows of opportunity. So yeah, so I've thought about that. Instituting a ministerial position and you're going to work this for 6 months. You'll get a knighthood at the end, maybe a title to reward you for job well done. And then it's going to be passed on to the next person. But that would be for, I mean, really the only ministry we need that in is the ministry of citizenship because it's such an unpleasant position to fill. But I also wanted to talk about citizenship in general. You know, right now, most of our active members come from the peerage, people who have purchased a peerage or been gifted a peerage, and they want to be a part of Westarctica. And by spending that money, they have invested in Westarctica and they have really committed themselves in a tangible way. That said, there are many other people. Sasha is not a peer. He is just a common citizen who likes Westarctica and wants to be involved. Christina, I don't think you're a peer either, are you? Um, I don't think I'm wrong on that. So we have two people in this meeting right now of what, six that have showed up or five that have showed up who are not peers yet are clearly committed. So we need to maintain a citizenship program. I think it's important because it does bring in active members. It does bring in people who care and who want to contribute, but maybe can't contribute financially for whatever reason. So the future of citizenship, I think, does lie in having an active citizenship minister, but the question of who that's going to be, and again, people will volunteer for it and then not fulfill the function because they realize this is a lot of work. And there's ways to manage that, but they just haven't done that in the past. Except for our few active, really, really active citizenship ministers, August and Jordan and Mike, this guy Mike that worked for us for a little bit. Okay, so Sasha, did you have any additional input on the Senate that you wanted to mention?
Sorry?
Did you have any additional input on the Senate that you wanted to mention?
1 second. Ну, да. Пожалуйста, еще. Просто Лиль.
Одну секунду я. Я ухожу.
Yes, I want to say it about CNAT is not many information about problems in Westarctica. And I have contact with government in publicity and this theory, but I have other peoples included to the speaking this process. And I have activity citizen in our process, and no Senate, no government, and many people are included in this creating law, creating rules, creating interesting political process, but not a political party. Is activity about Westarctica, is activity about life in Westarctica.
Okay. Okay. I think that is what the Senate is right now. So yes, I can see that completely. That is what it has become. Not necessarily an organization to create laws, but a place for West Arcticans to come together and sort of be active, or feel like they are contemplating the future of our country. And that's why I want to remove the prime minister from the Senate and put him in a place where he can actually fulfill some functions of government, which would be in the Royal Council. Does anybody have a problem or an objection with me shifting the prime minister to an appointed position rather than an elected position? And just for comparison, last election, we only had 81 people vote out of, before it was over 300 people voting in the first election. And we had only one candidate. We couldn't even find two people to run for the office because, again, prime minister is somewhat of a thankless job. So does anybody think there's anything wrong with that? Am I being a horrible dictator? Am I, wresting back control of the government? Is making the prime minister appointed rather than elected an issue for anybody in this chat?
No, I think it's really just a matter of the ideal versus the reality. I think if there's a provision for it to possibly should, they're trying to make words happen. Uh, if there's a provision for if the populace, the active populace gets to a certain position where people feel like they don't necessarily have that voice, I think that might be a good idea. I think that's what the Senate wants to be, is the voice of the people.
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily like blanket laws. I think that needs to be where almost the amphitheater for the people, whereas the prime minister is like the right hand of the Grand Duke. That makes more sense, I think, for the prime minister to be appointed and possibly end up having like two co-heads of Senate, one that is voted for by the senators, one that is voted for by the people. That might be a better way to spread that apart a little bit.
Okay.
Just throwing ideas out.
Yeah.
We have a lot of citizens, a lot of people in the country, but they people have little environment in our process. In something is Facebook, something Discord, something is other many time. Oh, it's a good nice, but it's past.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very challenging to get everybody in one place and give everybody a chance to talk. August, to your suggestion, the voice of the people, that was always the idea behind creating the Senate. And in my proposal, I want to give people the right to petition. So they have the ability to reach out to any senator and say, hey, I want this change needs to happen, or here's what I want to see. I call it the right of petition. It's their opportunity to speak, basically, in a national assembly.
Then yes, we are on the same page.
Maybe we need a citizen to get status of West Arteanets. uh, when optation about I have I can this and it's enqueting about this citizen and government is a testing and question you can did you can I can and I did in this small question and volunteering is activity in you citizen and all citizen yes activities and this about many small activities is
A big activity, yes.
yeah is a feeling our life.
Yeah, that is a fantastic idea. Get them when they're onboarding, when they are filling out the citizenship application. That's the time to say, "Hey, what can you contribute in a non-monetary sense as activity, as providing some service to Westarctica?" That's a really good idea. So, citizen onboarding, volunteer question. I'll put it that way. Good. Okay, that's one part. One of my problems are solved right there. What else? Does anyone have anything that came up as they were reading the proposal? Thoughts that they would like to share or just put out there?
um,
Well,
I think we need to involve new citizen, more actively through publicity campaigns, virtual flash mob, gish, and good ideas, and 2 or 3 in year these flash mobs.
okay. Yeah, I would look to our honorary councils to organize honorary consuls to organize something like that in their local area. I think it's a good idea. I think it could be really cool. We had in Italy several people get together, and that was organized by one of our honorary consuls there. So yeah, I think that's a great concept to gain some publicity. It would just need to be done on a local level, wherever we have a lot of Westarcticans. So, okay, I just got the notice here. We've got 10 minutes left. So, one of my goals in this is to go in and revamp the citizenship roster that we have. We've got almost 3,000 names on it. Um, Names, email addresses, addresses, everything else, to revamp that and see how can we put this to good use. How can we engage some of these people who have signed up and then never been seen again? An email is one easy way to do it, but I've also thought, well, what if we chop down regionally? All of our citizens in Ukraine, give that list to Sasha. All of our citizens in Boston, give that list to our Boston consul, so on and so forth. And then have them reach out to us. So I don't have to do all the engagement with everyone personally. I think that would be a really nice way to utilize our honorary consular corps. And our consuls are some of our most active citizens. They really are. They do stuff behind the scenes that doesn't always get publicized. So that's one idea. And another thing I want to mention, just so it's on the record here as we're recording, the change to the Grand Ducal Court. I want to move it from 4 justices down to 3. That's solely so we can easily arrive at a majority. It's much easier to get a majority with 3 than it is with 4. And Justice Sophie Mies has already volunteered to step down from her position. She wants to transition into the Senate and or the honorary consul corps. And I think she'd be a great fit in either of those organizations. So we're going to work on that in early next year when we start to shuffle the Senate. And those are, I think, all the big things. So we're going to no political parties, or I'm going to pull that part out of the proposal. But everything else, people seem pretty comfortable with. We've got 7 minutes left. I'll leave the floor open, and we might still have some people pop in here while we finish up.
Small ideas is I think the civilian corpus has given us a lot of small but important cities in activity, and is a good question about the life of civilian corpus.
Yeah, it's a great organization. I'm happy I created it because it gave people like you, for example, who didn't have an official role. It gave you an official role and something that you could manage on your own. So, consoles. So yeah, I think it's a great organization with a very bright future. Christina, you're still in the consular corps, right? Christina.
I'm here. I was just fiddling with my computer. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I was actually going to speak on that. I think it's a good idea that we kind of have the honorary consuls step up their game. I kind of felt like I was like, okay, like, if there was ever a diplomatic need, I'd be there. And other than that, I've just kind of in the background a little bit.
Yeah, we don't always reach out and utilize the honorary consuls as much as we should, but yeah, the goal is, hey, there's a micronational meeting or a climate march right in my town. Can you go to that meeting on Westarctica's behalf? And the consul says, yeah, that's easy. I can do that. But how often
Exactly.
does that happen, really? Once or twice a year, we have that opportunity to say that. So.
Yeah. So definitely that's a good idea. And then going back to kind of allowing us, the honorary council, to develop meetups. I think what year was it? Ooh,
Hmm.
crow. I think it was 2019 or so.
The
Yeah.
We had like
icebreakers.
the icebreakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And August did an amazing job organizing the one where I went to, and it was so much fun. So I think maybe redoing that initiative. One second. Here we are. Okay. I think redoing that initiative and maybe having it be more inclusive to virtual spaces and all that, so that way we can get all the folks in a region, or as many as possible, there, and just have them, like, I don't know, do a craft night or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just something simple to get them to introduce themselves and bond.
Right. Yeah, and because when they meet other West Arcticans, they realize, there is more going on here than just what I'm seeing or what I'm doing. So I think it does help a lot.
Knit a penguin Christmas ornament.
There you go. There you go.
Which actually
Or
is kind of
friendship
cool.
bracelets.
Paper snowflake competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't have to be complicated.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
Just get a piece of
Doesn't.
construction
No.
paper and do your best.
Yeah.
Get glitter glue.
Actually, on that topic, I am planning on doing a 25th anniversary get together here in my hometown, Bloomsburg. There's a big banquet center down the street that my friend actually runs. So I know we can get it, and everything would be reasonably cheap. We have a lot of people on the East Coast. So I was planning on doing it, some kind of 25th anniversary celebration there. And yeah, I think it would be cool to have it be a little more laid back than our 20th anniversary one was, which was pretty formal. But so something like that could even be a cool activity to implement into that.
Nice. All right, nice.
So we only have 3 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and close it out here unless anybody has anything to add to the conversation. And I'll make sure that this gets posted on YouTube in the next day or so. No additions? All right. Well, thank you everybody for. Oh, sorry, Sasha. Go ahead.
I don't know. I like these ideas. Is a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Hey, I really appreciate everyone joining me for this call. It makes a huge difference to me to get your feedback, and also so you can understand the spirit in which I am approaching these changes. Not trying to be a dictator again, but just trying to be a little bit of a dictator again, so we can get stuff done and move forward. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining on the call, and I will be talking to you again soon. Have a great day.
Wonderful to see you all.
See you.
See ya.
See you.
See everyone.
Thank you.